What's going on, sports card hobby family? I am greeting you here on Saturday because DPZ and Drake taking a week off. Drake is traveling this week, so you won't have the Pick 6 podcast, unfortunately, but I'm sure that they will be back next week, so all good. Today's video is going to be more or less kind of a temperature check as to what are you guys doing with your investment / buying dollars right now. I think this is just kind of interesting. We're in such a weird place economically. There's a bunch of different signals we're going to talk about here in a second, which I think is always a good idea to take pause and just think about how are we spending our discretionary income or investment dollars or whatever you want to call it. And by no means am I trying to sit here and say like, this is the way to do this or that or whatever. It's seriously more of like asking the viewership, asking the audience, taking a temperature to try to figure out what you all are doing. And I'm just going to talk about what I'm thinking and just some thoughts I've had recently based on current events. Before I get started, I've got a fun new affiliate program. It's with fun.com and Halloweencostumes.com. SCD15. This is a t-shirt that they sent me, Ghostbusters. SCD15 will get you 15% off. We got Halloween coming up, and it's never too early. There's a lot of people out there already thinking about Halloween, already in holiday season. These guys have all of the ugly Christmas sweaters, the Halloween costumes, all the cool stuff, t-shirts. Every day I'm wearing some funky t-shirt, and my wife's like, are you actually gonna wear regular clothes at some point in your life? And the answer is no. But check out my links down below. There's 15% off with SCD15 and get started shopping for the holidays. All right, friends, when we're talking about these sorts of buys, I'm not talking about what we're all buying just for fun. Bobby Hebert cards. I know that you guys are also buying these nonstop. I'm having to fight you for these on the internet. Bobby Hebert cards. This is different. This is more of kind of like if you're putting $1,000 into a card, $5,000 into a card, a significant amount of money for what you might be making. For Jeff Bezos, maybe it's a $10 million card. For him, it's like, okay, we're taking pause and we're thinking about what we're doing. For some people, it might be a $200 card. It all depends on, and again, this is stuff that's up above kind of bills and, obviously necessities that we need to live. But if you're thinking about, you know what, I really want to put money into this thing, whatever it is. Stocks, is it crypto, is it collectibles? We're going to talk about probably the greatest investor of all time, or at least the most popular one, Warren Buffett. Warren Buffett is, how old is Warren Buffett? Is he like 90 now? Warren Buffett really has had the benefit of just getting in so early on the stock market and playing it from such an early stages, learning the game and staying in it. And he actually just shows you that through the wins, the losses, picking good stocks and missing on others, over time, stocks have done very well. If you look at the overall trajectory, it hasn't always been that way. It has not always been that way at all. I mean, the US government at one point was borrowing money from JP Morgan. It has not always been this bustling thing that we have today. Now you've got however many people have got retirement accounts that are all linked up to the stock market in some fashion, the different indices. So Warren Buffett, current events for Warren Buffett, he's got $277 billion in cash. Berkshire Hathaway and Warren Buffett have never held that much cash. They had $195 billion, then it's moved up to $277 billion. He says that's the safest investment right now, sitting in cash. Think about the interest this guy is making. If our money market account gets 5%, I wonder what sort of deal this guy gets, Warren Buffett gets for anyone to be holding on to his money. Anyway, the point is that this guy is making it hand over fist without taking any real sort of risk. He owns more treasury bills than the Fed, Berkshire Hathaway and Warren Buffett. So I don't know. I mean, that tells me that he is gearing up for what he probably feels some sort of retraction in prices in the stock market. That it feels like that's what he's doing. It looks as if, based on these movements, that he's calling the top, at least here in the short term. He's sold off a ton of Apple, which was his largest holding here for Berkshire, and still is, and to be fair, he still owns a ton of Apple stock, but he's moved out of it. For a guy that's been reading the tea leaves for a very long time, has the smartest people working for him, I have to believe that he knows more than the average Joe like me that's just trying to get through life. And so I guess I asked the question, should we all be just sitting in more cash, just trying to just kind of build up the cash reserves, build up that nest egg, and just see what happens? See if asset prices are just poised to move downward to where maybe we actually get stock at a decent price. When we look at cards, and I've really moved into kind of more bigger items. I want to have less stuff. I've got my PC stuff, I've got my Breeze stuff, I've got fun things, but if I'm going to put some serious money into cardboard, I'm being very, very choosy, and I'm still putting money into cardboard that I feel is good value as a long-term hold. At the same time, I'm kind of eyeballing this and I'm watching what is happening here. I'm thinking to myself, man, I want to make sure I have enough cash on hand to where if some of these great stocks, some of these great companies, if they do go down just based on a massive sell-off, I want to be in a position to where I can actually get a bargain on some of these companies, some of these stocks, because we haven't really had that opportunity. It's been since the pandemic? It's going back 4 years since there was really kind of that drop off. And of course, if you bought in at that point, then you did really nicely. And I'm not saying necessarily timing the market, but there also is something to be said for just always being in the market. That's kind of what the retirement accounts do. You're always buying in regardless of the price. And over time, it usually works out okay. But I think there's also something to be said just buying individual stocks and getting in and kind of doubling down on some of that stuff as prices recede. We always used to hear, going back in cards, buy low, sell high. It seems to be the most obvious advice ever. And in many cases, we just don't do it. Stocks crash or crypto crashes. I was looking at my crypto portfolio. It's rebounded dramatically. And I don't have a huge amount of money in crypto, but I've got a decent amount, enough to where I'm paying attention to it. And if I look at like Solana, for example, Solana, went down. It was at like $200 for a Solana, and then it drops all the way down to like $20, $25, and right now it sits at like 150. And I understand that's not every crypto, same thing with Bitcoin, to where, what is it sitting at now? Like 60K. And, during the crypto winter, the last kind of big drop off, it went down to like 20,000 or something like that. Crypto's dead. Crypto's absolutely dead. I heard that so much. Remember when you bought the crypto? All these doofuses in my comment section. And now it's completely rebounded. And maybe it goes to zero tomorrow, but it seems to be, based on what's happening with the SEC, with government, with these different ETF funds, that there's more and more acceptance of cryptocurrency. Now, which ones are going to be winners and losers and all that, that's something that we'll find out down the road, of course. But again, it's just something that I'm looking at. Man, should I just be sitting on some cash, really focusing on building up the cash reserves and just making sure, look, if there is a massive drop off, well, number one, if the economy really goes badly, then I've got more of a nest egg. But then secondly, if we can kind of hold things together, asset prices drop, and not even just crypto and stocks, what about cards? What if some of these big cards, people have got to offload them? There's an assumption, I guess, that there's just enough people and collectors out there, long-term holders, that everything will get bought up. That might not be the case. There might be some pretty steep discounts on certain cards. We don't know. I mean, a lot of these cards, even the ones that I'm picking very strategically, if I go back 5 years, 7 years, 10 years, they were quite a bit cheaper, just like with anything else. And so for a lot of this stuff, regardless of what we're talking about, stocks, bonds, real estate, crypto, trading cards, collectibles, does it make sense to maybe pause, recharge kind of the cash reserves and figure out if maybe in a month, couple of months, 3 months, 6 months, will there be some nice opportunities there? I don't know. I don't know the answers. Obviously, none of us can see the future, but I'm bringing this out. I'm talking about this because I like to hear what viewers have to say and what other people are doing, what some of the other strategies are. And if you say I'm going all in on gold or silver or whatever it is, I just like hearing what other people's strategies are. And today we're kind of having a larger finance talk where it's not necessarily just cardboard, but hey, look, you might be saying, hey, I'm ready to go in and buy big on cards. Fine. I want to hear about what that strategy is. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below, my friends. Stay healthy, stay awesome, and I will talk to you again later.